Hariom everyone, welcome to this class on Kathopnishad. We are into the 14th class now. So we'll start with the chanting first. Those who can chant, you can chant at your end. And we'll start here. Om Sahna Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Gananam Tva Ganpati Gam Havamahi Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Ana Shrinvanutibhi Siddh Sadhanam. Om Shri Mahaganpataye Namaha Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we are starting this class on Kathopnishad. We have seen the first adhyay, first chapter, part 2, valli-2, first chapter, second part, and we are nearing the end of that. We saw the 24th verse, which we had discussed in a brief. So we'll just look into a bit more detail into that, and then we'll move on from there. There is only one more verse in this chapter, and then we'll start with the third part of this chapter, Tritiya Valli. Pratham Adhyay, Dvitiya Valli approaching the end, and then the Pratham Adhyay, Tritiya Valli will start. So we have, so far we have seen the story of Nachiketas, how he was uh, watching his father doing a yajna, and then he offered some advice which was not maybe well taken, and then as a result of that he had to go to Yamalok, and there in Yamalok he had to wait for Yamaraja for 3 days, and then ultimately for that patience of his, he got three boons. So these three boons he utilized: the first for his family, his father; the second for his village, for his people; and the third he asked for Atmagyanam. So we are approaching this part where the main part of Atmagyanam, the teaching is there. These mantras are a bit subtle, but in itself, in these mantras, they contain the whole teaching. So what this is the general process. If you watch in other Upanishads also, mainly like in Ken Upanishad, where firstly the teaching is given in direct language, and then the teacher and student interaction increases. Student asks more questions, the teacher expands on that, and thereby that teaching is taught in more detail. And then the final chapter where a story is narrated or some other um, details are gone into, so that any part that have any kind of doubt left. So if you find at any point that something is slightly tougher, the Upanishad is very kind. The author, the it's a divine author who's authoring this. The Rishi is just the listener. So this story will reveal more and more of those truths in a easier language. But till now, here it is very much symbolic language, and so through that we have to decipher through the kindness of our gurus like Shankaracharya Bhagwan and others in the lineage, especially Sureshwaracharya, whom I'm using a lot here. Then there is Mahamandeshwar, Mr. Mahamandeshwar Giriji Maharaj. So he is also very much, he has expanded a lot on this. And of course, there is always some inner guidance for all of us. So when we are looking at this, we'll just bring up on screen the next mantra that we were looking at. Just chant it quickly. We have looked at this in short. नाविरतो दुश्चरितात् न शान्तो न समाहितः न शांत मनसो वापी प्रज्ञानेन माप्नुयात् न विरतो दुश्चरितात् न शांतो न समाहितः न शांत मनसो वापी प्रज्ञानेन माप्नुयात्. So na avarito duscharitat, and again na ashantah, na asamahitah, na ashant manasah, va api pragyanen enam apnuyat. So, the person who is not fit to receive this knowledge that is being talked about, or in short, what are the things that we have to improve on? The natural spiritual progression of man that is expressed here. So how is it done? So na aviratah duscharitat. So someone who has not given up his bad qualities or bad desires or any kind of evil tendencies. That is the first thing that has to be removed. So we'll expand more. And then na ashantah. He is not able to control his sense organs. So ashant you'll have find it twice, na ashantah, na ashant manasah. So the first part is used for, sorry, first chant is used for the sense organs, because when the sense organs go out to the sense objects, they get so embossed in them, or embroiled in them, that they are unable to decide what is good for them, and they get caught up in their web of magic, web of control, by which these sense organs entrap or ensnare the sense organs. So another interpretation has been given by Giriji Maharaj also. He says basically that Krodh is the factor that is talked about, because when we interact with our sense objects, then the problem is not that the interaction is there. The problem is we get into some kind of bond with them, and then when that bond is threatened, that object is taken away from us, or we are not even able to attain that object, वो चाहिए लेकिन मिल नहीं रहा, then we get angry. So krodh is the one that disturbs shanti, right? Most disturbing for the mind is anger, because in anger we are unable to think. We don't know what we are saying. Sometimes we don't know how we have to react to a reaction, even though we know our anger gets the better of us. So that is one reason that uh, this anger has to be controlled, and its dependence is on the objects that we are really attached to. It might be just a simple object, it might be an emotion also. It might simply be even some respect that I expect from someone. So keeping expectations is also a dangerous thing, right? The more expectations we have, people are not going to behave according to how we want them to. Everyone has their own character, everyone has their own nature, and everyone has their own desires and priorities. We are so attached to someone, we want all their time. Then when that person, shies away from us or cuts away from us, we feel hurt. Then we don't realize that that expectation of ours is the problem, not that person's ability to give time to us, right? There are some people like our gurus or some popular figures who have to give time to so many people, or let us say even someone in the family. So that ashanti born out of the indriya grahanam, indriya vishaya grahanam, is the one that causes the mind to wander. And then na asamahita. There is no control. The mind wanders into different directions. Then after wandering, na ashant manasaha. So that mind after wandering is not able to hold on to the thought that are needed for that. Va api pragyan enam apnuyat. For that person, even though he has that buddhi, he has that pragyanam, still he will be unable to grasp that self knowledge, right? So even a person who has the capacity or intelligence or natural inclination to grasp this knowledge, first of all he will have to purify himself, right? So this is the natural stage of progress of any human person, not just on the spiritual path but any path. So first of all, a person is duscharita. he will do any kind of thing to attain the objects that he wants. He will steal, he will take wrongfully other objects, he will indulge in deceitful means to obtain objects. So that duscharit will hurt him. So then what is the next stage? When that person, because of that, starts to suffer, he actually sees that this thing is not going to help me. So that is when he gives up those things, and then he is able to move on to a more uh, calm path. But then that calmness, uh, another object or another disturbance is waiting for him on the way. What is the disturbance? The objects that he desires. Right. So right now he's not using any wrong means. He's making money out of what we call dharmic way, in a proper way. But again, because of the money that he's earning is not sufficient to attain all his desires, he gets he gets into problems. है ना? So he is not able to attain all the desires. So it happens with all of us in our lives also. No, we have so many things that we like to have. Someone wants a beautiful car, but till then, till he doesn't have the money or till he hasn't earned it, then that restlessness is there. So that restlessness extends to all the simple or complex pleasures that we seek to enjoy. So because of this, the sense organs are disturbed. Then again, asamahita. So even though the sense objects might be available to a person, then the natural calmness that is there for a person of contentment, that is still not there. He is forever running between one object. He gets bored of one, he starts onto another, then another, and so on. So that is asamahita. So it is okay to have, some sense of some objects that you desire, but then you should enjoy them as a gift from the Lord and derive maximum benefit. Don't get, disturbed every time. It happens to us when we use the mobile. We check one message, then another comes up, then another, and then we get lost in the, or like some people are surfing on the internet and they see some subject and they click on that and another and another, and in this way they end up wasting hours on that. So asamahita is the next part that he has to control. So when that person does that, he feels the genuine change within himself. He is able to utilize his time more effectively. So a person who is able to reach this stage, he finally is moving towards Shant Manasaha. So Shant Manasaha, slight difference. What you will say, what is the difference between Asamahita and Ashant Manasaha? So in Asamahita, the desires that you have chosen are there for you, right? One or two or whatever, and you focus on them at the right time. But the person that the moment you separate from that object, that single or two objects, then also his mind keeps going back to that. So no other work is being done. So there the mind is not shantaha. So because of these problems, the person of unsettled mind or impure desires is not able to grasp that self knowledge, for which very, very pure mind is required. So unless that is there, samadhi state will not come. Right. So if we go into the Yoga Sutras, so there also you have to go the full state. You cannot start with samadhi right away. Samadhi is at the end. So first of all, you will do yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dhyan, dharana, samadhi. So first you have to do yam. You have to discipline yourself. You have to train your mind. You have to, the five parts of yama, five parts of niyama. I will not elaborate. We have done this earlier in other classes. So all of these, satya, ahimsa, brahmacharya, asteya, aparigraha, each of those qualities, they requires so many days, years, months, or days, months, or years to master. So once that is done, only it is advised you move on to the next stage, right? So you move on to uh, asan, where you sit down calmly to meditate, or sit down calmly to maybe first of all make your body strong enough so that you can sit for those long hours. So this way, the stages of yoga are equivalent to these also. These stages also, whatever sadhana we have to do to reach that highest, there are intermediate states where we have to get the mind stronger and capable. Right. So now we move on to the final mantra of this, a very uh, strange kind of mantra. It seems very funny or weird, you can say. But when we go deeper, we will understand the message here. So, yasya brahma cha shatram cha ubhe bhavata odanah mrityorasya ka itha ved yatra saha yasya brahma cha shatram cha ubhe bhavata odanah mrityo yasyopasechanam ka itha ved yatra saha. So, yes, yes is for what? The Atma. For this Atma, Brahma cha Shatram cha. The Brahma is here representative of Brahmans. One of the classes of categories of Varnas or which into which people are divided. Second is Shatra or Kshatriya. Cha Ubhe Bhavata Odana. So they are like the Odan is like rice is Tandul. Odana is cooked rice, or we say in Assamese or Bengali or bhat or other places also, right? So bhat is the Odana is the cooked rice. So they are the main meal for this Atma, Brahmacha Shatramcha. And then Mrityuhu Yasya Upasechanam. Mrityu is the side dish. Side dish is Upasechanam is used mainly for what we call something that is pungent in taste, like a chutney or some achar or something like that, but also used for the vegetables like dal and all that we'll have with the rice. So mrityu is like the side dish for this vatma. Ka itha veda atrasa. So who can know what this atma is really? It is very difficult to pinpointedly say this is the nature of this Atma. So in a way, here is there is a way. Some places you will see this mantra is translated as that ultimately all the Brahmans and Kshatriyas, all the Varnas, they should obey the Atma, they should be subservient to the Atma so that otherwise it will not eat them up. Otherwise, they will become its meal. And also, even Mrityu respects this Atma. So, this is how. But if we go a bit beyond that, then here we are basically going into the Atma being described as the Sthiti Laya Karana. Or you can say it is also the medium from which the everything arises. So all is Sishti, Sthiti, Laya Karanam also. But mainly we are talking about Laya Karanam. It is the Laya Karanam. So here what is that? In if we look at maybe modern thinking, then space and time are separate, right? Space and time are separate. But later on, physics has seen that in relativity, Einstein's relativity, that space-time is taken as one unit, right? Space-time is taken as one unit. So in our systems, we also add to that matter. Matter, space-time are one reality only. They are emerging from one common reality, right? So within the Atma, there is no duality. There is no duality. So actually, there can be no time and no space also within it. Space and time are not there. So here, Brahmacha Shatramcha represents the conscious creatures of this universe, the conscious people of this universe. Yes, say Brahmacha Shatramcha. So they represent that this Atma is the material cause of all the objects of the universe, right? All the cause, all the materials of the universe merge into this consciousness or into this Chetanatma, or it is the substratum on which all are imposed, right? And then Mrityu Yasya Upasechanam. Mrityu here represents the time principle, right? Because with time, everything goes towards death. With time, every object, every being will go towards its death. So Mrityu also represents the time principle. Here it is not just Dharmaraja. Of course, Dharmaraja means the same thing also in the ultimate analysis. So here the Atma is mentioned as the material cause and the efficient cause into which everything will go back. So it is the Laya Karanam, right? So they are the Odanam. They are the food for this Atma. So ultimately, what happens to food? Food is something we consume and it dissolves into us and it becomes one with our body. Right? Same way, all the objects of the universe will become one with this Atma. The Atma eats them all up. That means everything has come out from Atma and will go back to the Atma. So here Lord Yamaraja is bringing first the idea of Atma being the Sthiti Laya Karana. And secondly, time is an integral part of creation. You cannot separate time and space also similarly from the creation. So therefore, time is a property of the creation itself. Right? So uh, usually, we think of everything in terms of where it is located. Right. So in Atma, you cannot say where it is located. It is beyond location because everything is within it. There is nothing that is outside of Atma. So Atma cannot be in a particular place. The question itself is wrong. If you say where is the Atma, the question itself is wrong because there is nothing by which you can quantify or exactly pinpoint time, pinpoint this space where the Atma is. Similar thing is when did it come into being? That when also is a property of time, right? So you must have seen there was once a movie where beginning of time is mentioned. So that is actually a logical absurdity. There cannot be a beginning of time. What was before that? That was also time. So there cannot be a beginning or ending point to time. So only logical explanation can be that this thing is cyclic, time is cyclic, and it is a projection out of something. If it were a real thing, then it would have to be you would have to be able to establish a location, time, object for that, right? And also because time and space both merge into Atma, so that means there is when creation comes into being, that is the point when time and space come, when creation happens, right? So creation again also is in the same way cyclic. Creation also cannot have a starting or ending point. Creation again will have a point when it will emerge and then it will merge back and again it will happen. Right. So we have these cycles of creation in our scriptures also. So like how many times this creation has happened, it cannot be said. It goes back endlessly. So again, this question that when the creation came into being is wrong question. That is what is being said here. That everything has come out from time, everything has will merge back into time, and therefore when this merges back into time, you cannot impose any of the qualities, you cannot impose any of the qualities of these objects of the universe on the Atma. Therefore Atma is without any qualities, bina gun ke, nirgunam, nirgun nirakar rupam. So this Atma is the swallower of the whole universe, and this time is also like a side dish, huh? So upasechanam for this. So in this is the mm, final representation of the Atma so far as something from which everything emerges and merges back into. So here we end into the Dvitiya Valli. So in the third Valli, Tritiya Valli, this is very popular for what we call the Ratha Rupakam. So here the basic concept of Atma has been taught in these last few verses. What is this Atma? And now more expansion into what we need to do personally so that we can hold on to this knowledge of Atma, and also what are the details, what about the world it projects. So here we have to remember one very important point. What is the purpose of Shastra? What is the purpose of Shastra? The purpose of Shastra is to learn something so we can apply it to our lives. It is not meant to be analyzed, what happened when, what happened where. The history is not supposed to be analyzed. Purpose of Shastra is how we can become a better person, or how we can behave in this world with the least of pain, tension, and worry. That is the purpose of Shastra. So all the things that Shastra teaches us leads us to acquiring wisdom and acquiring the best lesson out of everything that we see, the best lesson out of everything that we learn. So who did what, when, whether that person was good or bad, whether all our people are good or bad, all meaningless questions. People waste lots of times on these. Never do that. Go to Shastra, see what good you can learn from that. apply it and bring it into your being. Otherwise, you are wasting your time. So whenever we are going into Shastra, remember when the Vedas came, when how old is Indian civilization, how old are other. That is a kind of war for the others who want to somehow prove that they are older than ours. We know we are the oldest, but we don't want to argue about that, right? So whatever our shastras are saying, that knowledge itself is timeless. That knowledge itself is timeless. It goes beyond the normal knowledge that we see in any of the other shastras, right? There is, of course, a common thread that runs through all of them, but we have such a vast literature that studying it for any person in multiple lifetimes is not enough. So, what do? We grasp the essence. We grasp the essence. And once the essence is grasped, from that we can keep expanding our horizons into different directions the way we like. Just like whenever we study, we do all the general studies. We study all the subjects in general. And then we specialize. We choose, first of all, science, arts, or whichever stream. Then if we choose say less science, then we specialize in a particular science subject like physics, chemistry, biology, and so on. And then finally into some deeper subject like nanotechnology, particle physics, and so on. So in this way, same way with us, we can choose to specialize in any field that we do. But Shastra overall gives us a general guideline for improving our own character. So here now we are into the character part of Shastra. So we'll read this, a very, very popular verse. Ritam pibantu sukritasya loke guham pravishto parame paradhe chaya tapo brahma vido vadanti panchagnyo ye cha trinachiketaha ritam pibanto sukritasya loke guham pravishto parame paradhe chaya tapo brahma vido vadanti panchagnyo ye cha trinachiketaha. So ritam pibantav. So here, if you notice, we'll go through the whole verse, but there we will find the subject is not there. Right? This is a very beautiful quality of Sanskrit. By just looking at the case ending, you can tell the subject is what. Right? So here pibantav. So pibantav is what? It's dual class. Huh? So Pratham Vachan, Dvitiya Vachan, and then we have the three Vachanams, and then we have the three Bahuvachan, Ekvachan, Bahuvachan, and Dvivachan. So this is Dvivachan. Huh? And so whenever we are here, we are talking about the uh, two objects or two nature that can be ascribed to any objects. So here, basically, we are talking about the Jivatma and Paramatma. We shall see as we look at it. Just like, you take any sentence in Sanskrit where the subject is not mentioned, just by looking at the grammar, you can tell. Like you say, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. So, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, go, I go to, we go to, or you go to the Sharanam or the surrender to Buddha. So that person is not mentioned there. So how do you know that? Gachami. So Gachami means what? First person. So aham. So aham gachami. I go to Buddham Sharanam, not he, they, or someone else. Right? So similar way, in this way also, Ritam Pibantav Sukritasya Loke. This Ritam, this flow of nature, this flow of the laws of nature that are drunk by these two entities who have the nature of doing good in this world. Then Guham Pravishto Parame Parardhe. They enter into the cave of the heart, uh, in the higher half of this existence. In the higher half of this existence, we'll expand. And then Chaya Tapau Brahma Vido Vadanti. So the Brahmavid, the knowers of Brahma, the knowers of Atma, they say they are like Chaya and Atapaha. Chaya means shadow, Atapaha means light. They are like light and shadow. And who also says that? Panchagnyo ye cha trinachiketaha. So this is also said by the ones who do the Panchagni puja or the Panchagni vratam, and also who do the Trinachiketa. Hmm. So uh, here, does anyone need me to give the what we call the Anvaya? Like this is poetry. So in prose, you arrange the sentence of Sanskrit in Sanskrit, or is it okay if I just translate? Is just the Hindi or English translate sufficient?
Yes, sir. Just sufficient.
Sufficient, no? Okay. Because usually in classical teaching, you arrange this into the proper format. So, okay, then we'll continue in this order only. Because, oh, yeah, so just like in this Ritam Pibanto also, if you do the Anvay, then you have to put Sukritasya first. Sukritasya Ritam Pibanto, Loke Parame Pararde, then Guham Pravishto Chaya Tapo, and then Ivato Iti. So I'll not go into that. Uh, so first, we'll now go into the meaning here. So, what is being said here? That Ritam has been translated by a lot of commentators as Karma Phalam. So, these two, Jivatma and Paramatma, they are the enjoyers of Karma Phalam. They are the enjoyers of this Karma Phalam that is obtained in the world. Uh, what kind of karma phalam? Sukritasya loke. The people who do good deeds in this world. The people who do good deeds in this world, they drink this ritam. Hmm. Or they do, get this karma phalams. Right? Then guham pravishto parame padarthe. These two, the Jivatma and Paramatma, they are functioning from or they are centered in the cave of the heart. So in some places you can try, it is said that the cave of the heart is like the center from which our consciousness emanates. So you can take that the heart as that. And in other cases, the buddhi is also said to be the center because it is through the buddhi only that we can finally pinpoint our directions of the knowing the Atma as. So we say that it is in the buddhi guha, the cave of the intellect. So cave of the intellect or cave of the heart, both similar derivations, but of course the you can say the location appears different, but the meaning is the same. So these two, the Jivatma and Paramatma, they enjoy karma phalams, uh, and this is done by the people who do good deeds in the world. Sukritasya loke, and they are thus situated in the Parardhe. They are situated in the higher half of reality. What is the lower half? The lower half where all evil deeds or bad deeds are done, or the Parampadarthe, where the loka of consciousness, the loka of pure reality. So what are these two like? These Jivatma and Paramatma, like Chaya and Atapaha. They are like shadow and light. So they are inseparable. You cannot separate the light and shadow from each other, right? So they are one reality only, ever inseparable, but looking or appearing different. Chaya tapo Brahmavido vadanti. This is said by the Brahmavids, those who are the knowers of the Atma or the Atmagyanis or the Brahmagyanis, you can say. And this is also said by those who are the followers of the Panchagni Vidya, Panchagneya or who do the Panchagni. So we'll look into that. And also Yecha Trinachiketa, also those who follow the Trinachiketa Upasana. Hmm. Yes, Anita, you want to ask something?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Jivatma and those who do good deeds enjoy
Hmm.
the karma of Jivatma and Paramatma. Is that right, sir?
No, those who do good deeds are able to enjoy the karma phalam that is enjoyed by these two Jivatma and Paramatma. So Jivatma is enjoying karma phalam, Paramatma is not enjoying, but we will see how this is described. Okay, is it clear? I will
I
look more into it. Yeah. So now
think
this
easy.
rhythm, first of all, what is rhythm? Right? So rhythm is the rhythm of the universe, the flow of the universe. And it also represents, in another sense, the laws of the universe. Right? Rhythm, if you go into the strict Vedic sense, then in the Vedic sense, rhythm is the flow of the universe or the laws. So everything moves according to this rhythm. So pibantau, those who drink, exactly, that is the word, pibantau. So who drinks that? they are this Jivatma and Paramatma. So they flow according to the flow of the universe or flow of nature, you can say also. So they flow according to, they do not deviate, they are not against. So who does that? They are the Sukritasya Loke, the doers of good deed. So the doers of good deeds, they flow according to the nature. And what about the Dushkritasya? The Dushkritasya, they don't flow, they go against the flow of nature. So they don't drink ritam. They are arit, or they also, you can say, nirritam. So nirritam, they are anti. They are, you can say, the Gnostics or the evildoers or the people who don't follow the laws of nature or who constantly try to uh, control nature and divert it for their benefits while not caring for the harm they are doing to the nature. So these are the Sukritasya Loke, the ones who do good deeds, right? So ones who do good deeds will naturally want to move according to the flow of nature. The good deeds, in fact, involve doing so. Naturally, the interpretation that we gave earlier, that is given by some in some bhashyams, that this rhythm represents karma phalam, that also is a corollary. But overall, you understand this thing as rhythm represents the laws of nature. And if you move according to them, then you are able to reach for a very higher uh, or more cleaner existence. So where does this function from? These two guham pravishto. So the jivatma and paramatma, they are not separate realities, right? They are not separate realities. They are one common consciousness. They appear separate, right? So that is why this contradiction is appearing as these two are uh, enjoying karma phalams. So, does the Paramatma enjoy karma phalam? No, he just watches. So, if you know about another verse, so this is from the Mundak Upanishad. So, I can see it. It's there in front of me. I was brought two beautiful golden birds from Delhi, and then I thought this verse fits. So, I created a showpiece out of that, and I wrote it there. Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhaya Samanam Viksham Parisach Jate Tayoho Anyam Pippalam Swadhuatti, Annan, Anyan, Ashnan, Abhichakshiti. This is from Munda Upanishad, same thought. So Dwasuparna, two birds, Sayuja Sakhaya, they are friends. Samanam Vriksham Parisasvajate. They are sitting on the same tree, just like these two are sitting in the cave of the heart. And then Tayor Anyaha Pippalam Swadhuati. One of them enjoys the fruit of this tree. One of them enjoys karma phalams. And Anashnan Abhichakshiti. The other one watches without eating. So there the thought is what? The thought is that the Paramatma just watches, right? So here also, even though this Paramatma is not enjoying, but because of close association, he is said to enjoy. So in this thing, Shankaracharya Bhagwan in his Bhashyam, he gives a very beautiful example. He gives the example of Chhatri Nyaya. It is not expanded there, but it is known to the people of those. So what is this Chhatri Nyaya? So like some people are walking along a path, and say there are about 20-30 people, and say about half of them are carrying an umbrella. So you say chhatri wale ja rahe hain, the ones with chhatri are going, umbrella are going. So all are not going with an umbrella, but because of association with the rest of them, they are said to be the umbrella walas, the ones with umbrella, right? So same way, because the Paramatma and Jivatma are not separate entities, just because for the Jivatma, what happens? There is the association with the body, right? And he is also Agyani. He doesn't know, the Jivatma doesn't know its true nature, right? It is trapped. So Jivatma being trapped because of its ignorance is, but the essence is what? Essence is the same Atma. Jivatma and Paramatma are both Atma only. They are both Atma only. So therefore, they are not separate entities on which boundary line can be drawn. Right? So they are both the same, but because of the upadhi that we said, upadhi is what? The upadhi for the jiva is the shariram. The center through which it functions, that is upadhi, and therefore it thinks that it is that upadhi, it thinks it is the body, or alternatively you can say it thinks that it is a conscious being functioning as a body. It is a body with consciousness, not that it is consciousness itself. That is the error, right? Paramatma doesn't have this error, right? He doesn't have. But then because he is the one source from which everything is emanating, so therefore he is associated with all of the jivatmas. He is in the heart of every jiva. All the jivatma is the consciousness functioning through the body. Paramatma, the consciousness functioning through the whole universe. Therefore, he is also there in the same place. So you can see from the here the contradiction. If there are two things occupying the same place, can they be separate? Either they have to occupy half and half of that, right? So they both occupy the full area only, right? So in this way, the Jivatma and Paramatma are one only. The association with the body makes the Jivatma the holder of the body. And so, because they are in this consciousness, in this cave of the heart, this is called Parame Pararthi, the higher loka, the loka of consciousness, right? So, the ones who knows this? Chaya Tapau Brahma Vido Vadanti. So, the knowers of Brahman, the Atma Gyanis, they know this Jivatma and Paramatma as Chaya and Tapas. This we saw. So, this is they are inseparable realities. They are two sides of the same coin, right? They are two sides of the same coin, Chaya and Tapa. So Brahmavid, they know this clearly. But this is also known to the ones who do this Panchagni Vidya, that is the one who follow the Vedic path. And then this is those who also do the Trinachiketa Agni Upasana. So they also follow the Vedic path. So other followers of the Vedic path, they know this fact. They know this fact. What is the difference between these three? We'll look at. So, Chaya Tapo Brahma Vido Vadanti and Panchagnyo Ye Cha Trinachiketaha. So, the Brahmavit is what? He sees these two as one single reality, right? He sees these two as one single reality, the Brahmavit. So, uh, even though you can say Chaya Tapa, but for the other ones, the Panchagnya. Panchagnya is what? The Grihastha. Or also in one sense, there is the Panchagni Upasana. So, basically, Panchagnya is what? The ones who have these five fires in their house. So, some will have only three, that is the minimum, but others will have five. So what are these five? The for the grihastha, first is the gaharpatya agni, the one in the kitchen, right? So that is the circular. All of them have to be the same area. That calculation is given in the Shastra. We saw that also earlier. So this gaharpatya agni is where you cook your food, so that the fire remains kindled all of the time. It is there. There will always be a coal that is burning over there, or a wood that is always in the burning state over there, so that it can be continued. It is not supposed to go off, right? So this is where you do the first ahuti. So the five ahutis that you do in the morning before cooking food. So when you offer your ahutis to the Pitars, the Devtas, the Brahmans, the Bhutas, and the Jivas. All of them, or you can say for Pitars, you can also say, or you can say Atithi also. So the five, the Panch Mahayagya, you do in that Agni. So that is the one Agni. The second one is the Ahavani Agni. Ahavani is Ahavahan, you call someone, right? So why Ahavaniya? Because you take the coal or the wood from your Gaharpatya and establish it in your Homa Kunda, Yagya Kunda. That is the one. So that this is one is on the east side, other is on the west side. So that is a square one where we do a Yagya. So that is where we do the daily Agnihotra Yagya. So it is done thrice a day. Some do it twice a day, some once. So this uh, Gaharpatya and Ahvaniya are the two main ones. So in Ahvaniya, you do a yagya daily and you do it according to the Vedic rules. There is a short version you can do in couple of minutes. There is a longer version. You can do it in half an hour. The full version is about 1 hour. Then you have the Dakshinagni. So that is in the south of these. So that Dakshinagni is like a semicircle. It is a semicircle. So there you do your upasana, right? You can just light the fire, sit in front of it and meditate. And you meditate on your nature, your true nature, or you meditate upon your favorite devta or deity or whoever you worship, so that you can focus your mind inwards. So Dakshinagni is towards the south, which is the direction of death, or the direction of Yamaraja, or also the direction of Shiva. Same thing. Why? Because it is the direction where you give up all the worldly attachments, and so you move towards knowledge. So that is Dakshinagni. And then there are two lesser known Agnis, Sabhya and Avsatya. Sabhya and Avsatya. So Sabhya is the one you establish in the you keep an outhouse for guests, like some sannyasi will come or some guest will come, they'll stay there. So that Agni is there. So this Agni is not supposed to be, there is not supposed to be an ahuti done by the Yajamana, the owner of the house. He can't do that. Only the sannyasi will do that. So they do their cooking in that fire. Right, so that is in a separate room outside the house. And then finally the Avasatya. So where this is the one which is used for common functions. So this is in the center of the yard. There is a square one correct constructed. So it is made of bricks, one over the other. So that height is there, and then the depth is inwards. And usually there are four posts on the outside, and on top of that there is a cloth covering it, and around that is the seating and all. So the common yagyas are done there. So like the Darsha Purnamasya yagya and so on, all the monthly, the 6 monthly, the annual, all of them are done there. And this is a community gathering, and that is very. So the basically the people of the world, they are the Panchagneya. So they also know these two, that there is a Ishvara inside me, there is a God is inside me, and my own consciousness is functioning, and I can talk to that Lord. He can hear me. He knows everything that I do. He knows everything that I see. Right. So that is the way they look at a God inside them, the Panchagnya. And then the three Nachiketa. Three Nachiketa we saw earlier. So they follow this three Nachiketa Agni, where they all the three arrangements of the three fires is taught. So basically, it was what we saw, the arrangement of your desires, how to maintain your desires, control your desires, direct your desires to the right path or end. So that is Trinachiketa Agni. So these are the people who uh, practice to get higher in spirituality, जो हमेशा ऊपर की तरफ गति करने की कोशिश करते हैं. And for them there is a upasya devta. So for that they see that devta as that Ishvara inside us, right? So for you, for a general person, there is just Ishvara. For that person, Krishna may be the highest Lord. For someone, Vishnu may be, someone Shiva may be, and so on. And all it can be any of the other Ganesha, any gods, because ultimately all gods are one only. When they take the function of any of the jobs of creation, they are that deity. But when you remove that function, then Shiva is also Brahman, Vishnu is also Brahman, Ganesha is Brahman, Kartikeya is Brahman, everyone. So, so all of all these know that there is a soul inside me, and there is a Paramatma inside me who I'm closely associated with. For the Brahmavid, he and that Atma are one. For the other two, they are separate, but through that worship, they rise higher in life. They rise higher in life, right? So these two we have seen here, the Panchagni and the Trinachiketa details we have seen, and the Brahmavit also. So these follow according to the rhythm. And what about the rest? We saw earlier also, they are not Sukritasya. So they are not the good people. They are the ones who do not follow the Vedic path. They may not be even evil also. It's not necessary that they do wrong things only. They may be decent people, but they don't believe in Shastra, and they don't believe in a spiritual practice that will raise them higher, or a spiritual tradition that they want to follow and go to a better state of mind. That is not their right. So now this Atma we have seen here. Uh, First of all, we saw what? This Jivatma, or we can say the reflected consciousness that we saw earlier. And the Paramatma is the reflected consciousness functioning through the universe. So RC1, RC2. But what are both of these? They are the Atma only. We can say the original consciousness. So the original consciousness is bifurcating into the reflected consciousness, functioning as the Jiva and the functioning as the Paramatma. And so whenever they, even though there is no vikaraha, there is no what we call break or division within the Atma, the division appears. It is an appearing division. The division is not real. So what happens when this reflecting medium of the body or the reflecting medium of the mind and intellect, it moves, then the reflections also move. So Atma, we saw earlier, doesn't move anywhere, but these two will move. These two will move according to the movements of our mind and the movement of our body. So this reflected consciousness we also call as Chidabhas. So when it is reflecting, what is happening here? Because it is reflecting, it is losing sight of its infinite nature. Therefore, it is attached to some objects. So because of its attachment, it tries to attain objects for enjoyment. Therefore, it becomes what we call it is a karta. The Atma becomes a karta when it disillusioned or under the illusion that it is a jiva. And also because it is a karta, when it is a doer of an action, action will produce what? Karma phalam. So it becomes also a bhokta. So this jivatma is, as we saw, according to Ritam, the meaning of karta also can be taken. So this atma becomes, the jivatma becomes a karta or bhokta. And the uh, Paramatma, by association, also looks like a Karta or Bhokta, because we also have this question in our life. We say, why doesn't Ishvara help us? Why doesn't he come down to help the ones who are calling? So then that essence represents what Ishvara is there. He is not going to do what you are asking for him. He will do when you become totally dependent on him. That is a different level. That is bhakti. But beyond bhakti, Ishvara will not interfere with the running of the world. So if people say that why is there so much sorrow in this world? So Ishvara is not out there to remove sorrows. He is there to give you your karma phalam, right? But if you are doing bhakti to him, he can give you relief from that pain which other people don't have. So this nature is revealed in this verse. This is said in here about how we go. So we'll look into the next one if we have a little bit more time. Maybe we can just. यसेतुरीजानानाम् अक्षरं ब्रह्म यत्परम् अभयं तितिशतापारं नचिकेतं शकेमहि यस्य यसेतुरीजानानाम् अक्षरं ब्रह्म यत्परम् अभयं तितिशतां पारं नाचिकेतं शकेमहि. So यह सेतु ई जानानाम अक्षरम ब्रह्म यत्परम अभयम तितीर्षताम पारम नचिकेतगम शकेमहि. So this setu, this bridge is built by or is crossed over by whom? Ijananam. Ijananam represents the doers of sacrifices, Havan, Ahuti. Uh, then Aksharam, Brahma Yatparam. The ones who follow the knowledge of Brahman. Brahman as in what form? Aksharam, as an indivisible, infinite one. Yat Param, as the highest. What happens to them? Abhayam Titishatam Param. So they go to the stage of fearlessness, Abhayam. And they cross over to that state. Nachiketam Shakemai. Hey Nachiketa, they become samartha, they become capable, they become the ones who can do this thing, right? So we saw these two category or three categories of people earlier. So of these three categories, the ones who are involved in the Panchagni and the Nachiketa Agni, they are taking this bridge that will take them to the highest lokas, that is the lokas of Swarga or where they can enjoy the best of their desires. So that is the one setu or one bridge built for them. By what? Ijanana, by performing sacrifices. So you can go to the higher lokas by only performing sacrifices, that is giving back to the world. Sacrifice is what? Homa is you give to the Homa Agni. So when you do that, the Devtas will give it back to you manifold. Same thing, you can say you give it back to the world. So whenever you do something good to the people for the world, it will come back to you multiplied, magnified. So these are the people with the sacrifice. They do something with the expectation of getting a karma phalam, or even if not with the expectation of doing karma phalam, they do it with the thing that they do it with the feeling that doing good is necessary if you want to stay happy in this world, right? So they are the ones who are going into the setu or the bridge by which they this Ijana Nam is what we call in Sanskrit the sixth case. So in some places the translation will give you that this should be in the second case, but that is not how we interpret Shruti. So why? I'll just explain. Uh, they are saying this bridge is for the people who are going to uh, this higher lokas, right? For. So there they say that it should be in the fourth case. But if you even if you use the sixth case, it means in sixth case what happens? Firstly, you have to note ijananam is plural. Okay, the doers of sacrifice. So sixth case is what? Ka, unka, uh, of. So you can also take it in this way that this is the path. This is the path that belongs to the people who do this, who follow this path of sacrifice. So in all these are technicalities, but in simple language, what we are saying here, what the mantra is saying here is that this setu, this bridge, is built by the people who do the path, follow the path of sacrifice. They reach the higher lokas. And what about the Brahmayat Param, the ones who follow the path of knowledge, the ones who follow the Gyan Marg. The first one you can say Karma Marg, the second one is the Gyan Marg. So Gyan Marg, what happens? Abhayam Titishatam Param. They reach the stage of fearlessness. Because wherever you go, even if you attain heaven, there the fear will remain that I have to come back. When your karma phalam is exhausted, even in the heavens, you have to come back to the earth, right? So this cycle has to continue. It will continue. It will keep on going, keep going on and on. So therefore, the this setu is uh, different for the two or three categories of people. For the Gyanis, the Setu will take them to the stage of fearlessness or moksha or discovery of their true nature. And for the Karma Margis, this will take them to the enjoyment in the higher lokas, where they will enjoy their karma phala. And then again, after it has been exhausted, after the karma phalam has been completed, they will come back to again go into that cycle of kartritvam, bhoktitvam, then the punyam, the sanchit karma, prarabdha karma, agami karma. They keep accumulating these karmas, and then again some of them will fructify and give them another different birth, and so on. This cycle comes. So we can choose whichever setu we want to choose, right? So initially, for any jiva, the setu will be of higher enjoyments. But slowly, as we evolve into our spirituality, we see the futility of uh, constantly engrossing ourselves in the objects of the world. And we search for something higher, some joy that does not go away with the objects. And once that stage is reached, that is called the stage of mumukshutvam. And then we move on to the higher pursuit of spirituality, or for discovering of our true nature and answering all our questions, right? Answering, we seek answers, how we came here, why did God put me into this miserable world? Why do I have to suffer so much? Why do my joys go away? And so on. So all these are for the people who are on the path of Brahma Jnanam, Brahma Yat Param, that Param Jnanam, Param Patha. So uh, this is the basic essence of this mantra. So we'll wind up for today. and we'll continue with the Ratha example in the next class. A very interesting way by the example of the chariot and the different the one who runs the chariot and the grains and all, they are equated to this Ratham. So this we shall see in the next one, next class. So let's wind up for today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Tat Sat.